Hey, what is up, guys? It is Garrett and Charlie here from Visokii Entertainment. Today we got a little bit of a top 10 video. We're talking about 10 X-Men that we want to see in the MCU Phase 4. You name it. Garrett, go ahead. Let's get this started off. We picked 5 each. So yeah, Garrett, go ahead with
I'm not putting these in order of I need to see these
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off with one that I don't necessarily think we're going to see, but I would really like to see. It'd be really, really cool. So there are a couple of reality warpers on my list. So Charlie, before I move into this, what do you know about reality warping in the Marvel universe, landscape in general?
Not really anything.
So the idea behind reality warping is that you're actually so it's what it says on the tin. You can physically warp the reality around you. So an example of that would be a character like Mad Jim Jaspers, who would literally create whole sub-dimensions within whatever that you would experience all of what you felt like was eternity in, and then you'd find out it only took place in 2 seconds. That's what we're talking about here, okay? That level of power. Now, not every reality warper is the same, but they're pretty, when you can, example, Scarlet Witch in the comics can warp reality when she's at her most powerful, but not always. So it's it just depends on the character and what their actual power set is. If you look at a character and their power set says reality warper, you're dealing with someone serious. So I'm starting off with a mutant that I don't think we'll ever actually see, although it would be awesome as a super mega boss after, if we ever saw Apocalypse, because Apocalypse is supposed to be the end all be all. This guy is kind of like Apocalypse times 50, because he's a reality warper called Matthew Malloy. So he doesn't look like much, but this guy will mess you up. So I'm actually going to pull it up so we can read it together. So we have a little bit of explanation here. So Matthew and his wife alive in Charleston, South Carolina, when Earth was attacked during the Skrull invasion. During an argument between the two of them, he witnessed her death. She was vaporized. And then he basically, after this point, is when his mutant abilities started to come out. So essentially what I took from that when I was reading that initially, not that this isn't the first time I've read it, by the way, but this is when I was first rereading this, I remember why this was so fascinating to me when I first got into this comic, because essentially what caused him to mutate was the death of his wife, basically right in front of him.
That's awesome, actually.
And he becomes essentially a villain who is super powerful though. I think eventually if Franklin Richards or something deals with him or something like that. But essentially super powerful. That's an Omega level threat there. That's a term they use to describe people that could threaten whole planets, pretty much, potentially the universe. So hard to follow this one, but what do you got, Charlie?
That's cool for sure. Matthew Malloy. So I'm gonna go with a guy named Sunfire here. He's a Japanese mutant who can generate superheated plasma and fly. He's kind of known as being arrogant and not suited for teammates. We're kind of talk a little. They're kind of trying to bring a whole international feel to the MCU, and bringing in someone who's Japanese like Sunfire would be a welcome presence here. Yeah, he's also got radiation immunity and ability to view infrared. So Sunfire is kind of a badass, and I feel like this would be someone that would be fun to see how they bring it in.
Cool costume too. I would like to see that full mask. Maybe obviously make it a little less wrestling looking. Although I don't know, maybe you could get a Japanese wrestler to do it that's into it, that wears a lucha mask now anyway or something. Who knows?
Exactly. I definitely feel like it would be a Shiro Yoshida. I think it'd be be nice to be brought in to the MCU for sure.
Yeah, but so anyway, and like we were saying, we were talking about Shang-Chi in the last episode. It would make complete sense for them to bring in a character like Sunfire, or just any character. There's lots of people all over that Marvel's expanded into various countries in the Marvel universe, but So I'm just gonna take a look at my list here for where I'm gonna jump to next, because I don't actually know. I'm thinking, okay, I guess I'll get one of these out of the way. So this is one of those ones where, if they don't do this one, I feel like they're gonna lose a lot of people. And specifically because there's just a very, very unique pantheon of villains in the X-Men, and if you kind of go against those, it kind of is a problem. So we got to have Magneto back at some point. Even if you don't do the whole let's say they find a way to bring in the X-Men, excuse me, without bringing in, the whole Xavier Institute, which again, I think you're going to have huge people that are going to be a problem with that. But if you find a way to do that, you still need to have Magneto as a villain. Even if like you don't do the connection where he's supposed to be the parents of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Obviously you can't really do that at this point because that really couldn't happen when it was supposed to happen. But yeah, I mean, if you've never seen Magneto before, he can like manipulate metal. That's the whole thing. It's kind of in his name.
Yeah. Moving on to the next, number 4 overall, my second one that I chose here, and that's our boy Cyclops here.
Scott Summers.
Yeah, Scott Summers. And so, I mean, you can tell by the eyes there. The man can emit powerful beams of energy from his eyes. I'm not a million% familiar with the X-Men, and even I have heard of Cyclops and how much people like him. And I feel like this is a good place to start. Cyclops would be a really nice one to bring in. The guy looks badass, and like you said, Scott Summers. You start this whole summer stuff.
Yeah. So
master tactician.
That's the thing. He's the lead. Like, so people like kind of look to another character that I'll get to. But as kind of the leader of the X-Men, there's a couple people kind of look at the X-Men as the X-Men's leaders. The original X-Men leader, and it's kind of joked about in the movie Logan. I don't know if you remember that, Charlie. In the movie Logan, Logan kind of jokes that Scott wrote the comics, so that's why he made himself the leader. In reality, he was the original leader of the X-Men. They just changed things later because I do think at one point he probably does die here and there and get brought back, but whatever. Either way, I think in the new continuity, Cyclops has his own school with Jean or something like that, where they're like against the X-Men or something. It's weird. It's weird stuff going on with Cyclops. I think I read that or something, but yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely interesting. So I feel like that'd be a nice.
Yeah, I feel like he's one you have to have. Like if you were gonna have Magneto as your villain, you got to have Cyclops as one of your X-Men. If he's not a leader, you at least got to have him there.
Look at him; you can see that suit, man. I bet now, like Marvel MCU, if they did it right with that suit and Scott's, it could definitely be huge.
I completely forgot. Him and Jean are two of the main teachers at the Institute. So if you bring in Xavier's Institute, he's almost got to be there when you get there. If not.
There you go.
There's a hint like, hey, back in the day, there was this guy, But anyway. Yeah. So I guess I already mentioned him. Excuse me. I'll jump to him right away because the other de facto leader of the X-Men, I'll call him. Again, if you skip over this character, you are going to lose a lot of people. You got to have Wolverine in there. I mean, you're talking about the entire program. I mean, let's be honest, he's kind of already canon because Weapons Plus is canon. That's a fact. There were German scientists that were working on a super serum in the MCU. All you have to do is say he wasn't until this time. They just now perfected it, and they gave him the adamantium dip as well.
And like we were kind of talking about a little before. I mean, you could have this snap, like the Thanos snap, we're referring to. You could have this. Like start stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. One thing they have to get right about Wolverine, though, I'm sorry if I don't say this, I'm going to get annoyed. He needs to be short. He's short. I know you can't really tell in this picture. I could probably find a better one. So, okay, he's kneeling here. This doesn't help. Oh no, that's him standing. Look at that. And he's kneeling a little bit. Whatever. All right. Let me think. There's no good examples right here, right now. But okay, here you go. There's how short Wolverine is. He's hunched over right there. But look at if he was standing up, he'd still only be like up to there. So like, and this is not scale bread. This isn't scale bread. All right, whatever. I give up on this. But still, I don't care.
I get what you mean, though, for sure.
He's not as tall as everyone makes him out to be in the movies. Like Hugh Jackman is too tall to be Wolverine, in my opinion. But that's my only problem with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Otherwise, he does a brilliant job. But still, who else you got on your list, Charlie?
Yeah. So someone who, funny enough, at my job, I had actually saw just a random image of this person, and it almost kind of gave me the idea. And that is Polaris here, Lorna Sally Dane. So she can control magnetism, much like Magneto. It looks like electromagnetic manipulation is kind of her main thing here in flight.
Well, so this character, it looks like was created by Arnold Drake and Jim Steranko. Sorry, Steranko. Sorry. It looks like she's a member of either the X-Men or one of its sister groups, such as X Factor from in the 80s. She came back in 2000s, it looks like, but she hasn't really. So she's been here and there. She was part of Secret Wars, part of House of M. So she probably got deleted during House of M, but it looks like she's had some appearances since then. So maybe she was one of the ones they kept.
Yeah. The main thing I was hinting at when I found her was the fact that she can't control magnetism, much like Magneto, and that had made me think like, man, she could be powerful. And look at her. I mean, they could do some pretty crazy stuff with this and make it look really awesome. It looks like she had long suspected him to be her biological father. So I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll.
Magneto just needs to learn to just chill, man.
Chill out.
You get a hobby, Magneto. I'll save the best for last because the last character I want to talk about is a specific one, but all right, so I'll go ahead and so this is another one that I think is like, if you're gonna have a character that's super essential to the X-Men that you're gonna need to have a specific role for them to fill, I think you have to have Beast, because he's got. So I'm just gonna go to the wiki and just like, because the thing about Beast to me that was always so fascinating was that he's not just like, he looks cool. He's not just. So this is a Stan Lee, Jack Kirby creation. This is one of the original X-Men.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So he is. So it's Hank McCoy is usually. I think he usually goes by Hank. I don't think they usually call him Beast. I mean, they probably do sometimes. But so his thing is his genius level intellect. So he's super smart. I mean, I'm sure he's got the superhuman physical strength, agility. But the genius level intellect gets them out of more situations than his strength does, in my opinion. So he's had stuff crossover with the Avengers, the Defenders. He's had some time in the movies, admittedly. But the big thing that Beast has been a part of that I wanted to talk about in this little segment is this group called the Illuminati. So in the Marvel Comics universe, there's the Illuminati. So if you'll see, so you have Professor Xavier, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and the really, really interesting one, if they're going to call this into question, because the thing that these guys did after the Infinity stuff, they collected the Infinity Stones and spread them amongst each other as a group. Oh. The guy right here that's super interesting is Reed Richards, also known as the leader or the father of the Fantastic Four. So if they're going to do that, that would be really interesting, because look at all the stuff that they're involved in. Civil War, World War Hulk, which is essentially what the storyline for Ragnarok was on Sakaar. That's what World War Hulk was, except it wasn't really. But then we got Secret Invasion. So you have all this stuff that they're all a part of.
With number 8 and my 4th overall here, I got Kitty Pryde. So Kitty Pryde has this phasing ability, really, that allows her to
Wraith.
Yeah, it allows her to go through these Apex Legends, go through objects or people. And we kind of saw something like this in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And it's like,
so Ghost is very similar to Kitty Pryde in that way.
Yes, and so they've done something like this. This is a Chris Claremont and John Byrne creation.
Chris Claremont is so awesome. All right, I said to say.
It's something else we were looking at. So she, in the comics, actually becomes married to Star-Lord and ends up taking the name Star-Lord. So that could be pretty cool. So, I mean, there's always ways to introduce her with that. I mean, because as of right now, Gamora's dead. So, who knows what they do with that. But she also gets levitation when she goes through electrical fields. So, I mean, I don't know. This
could you imagine a fight with Electro with her? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this could be something. Just look at this little image I found here. I thought it was so cool with like half her hand coming out of the wall and like.
Oh yeah, there's great shots like that of her from all over the place, because that's another thing. Like, just imagine for a minute if you have like Kitty Pryde, Wolverine, Beast, and Hank McCoy is just like, hey, you're gonna use your phasing abilities to surprise them, and then Wolverine, you're gonna bum rush them and attack them and be like the tank or whatever, because he can't die or whatever, or at least really not easily. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's why the X-Men are so awesome, because of the way they work as a team, you know. But yeah, so and I mean, I guess is there anything else you want to add about Kitty Pryde? I mean,
No, that was it.
all right.
Yeah, definitely could be something pretty fun, and I want to hit on the ghost thing, but yeah, thought that was cool.
So I hit one cosmic character in this, but I'm going to hit another, and I'm sure this is going to be something that not everyone's going to agree with, but I just think this character is one of my personal favorites, because when I first heard this described, I was like, "There's no way that works on paper. It just doesn't seem right." But the next character that I have on my list, the one that I don't think we're going to see this character probably, although it would be really awesome if we could, because of all the storylines we've seen. Like the stuff we've seen hinted at in Deadpool is even connected to this stuff. So it'd be really interesting if we got to see the character of Rachel Summers. So again, I'm gonna back up here and talk about the context for this character a little bit. I'm not going to go in too much because it gets really complicated really fast. So this is another Chris Claremont creation. So this is the thing I wanted to hit on. So this has a lot to do with publication being retcon. So if you don't know what a retcon is in the comic book sense, Charlie, I assume you know what a retcon is?
I got a general idea.
So it's right here. It's a retroactive continuity is a literary device for established facts in a fictional work are adjusted, ignored, or contradicted by subsequently published works, which breaks the continuity. So essentially, this character came out of them breaking continuity, essentially. So in the original timeline, Cyclops and Jean Grey don't have this kid because of what happens in, I forget which comic, but essentially this doesn't happen the way this does in this alternate universe. And she ends up in the main Marvel universe as the character, either Rachel Grey or Phoenix, usually, because the thing is, she has the Phoenix Force. Again, if you don't know what the Phoenix Force is, you probably shouldn't go see Dark Phoenix because it's going to be really confusing to you. But yeah, so you bond to this cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force. Jean Grey does it in the comics as well. Obviously, that's why they're connected. I don't want to go into the Phoenix Force too much here because it's too the cosmic side of the Marvel universe in the MCU has subtly been hinted at with stuff like Galactus being out there potentially or other things like that. But the reality is we don't know. Actually, she's fighting Galactus right there. But anyway, yeah. Actually, if you have never seen Galactus, I'll zoom in here. This is okay. That didn't zoom very much. This is Galactus. He's a big giant space dude. But yeah, it'd be really cool to see that character again. A lot of continuity shifting has to happen. They probably have to start rewriting stuff a lot, but it's not like they couldn't start doing this if that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, this is true. So yeah, so our last one and my number 10, it's gonna be Dazzler. So yeah, Dazzler is someone that I had saw today, and from what I got, yeah, she's pretty much a badass, a highly skilled athlete, and she can convert sound into light beams of various forms and intensity. Right? She was created by Tom DeFalco and John Romita Jr. And it looks like she is in the Dark Phoenix movie.
That's not surprising because they usually pull some. That's the thing about the X-Men movies that Fox has done is they usually pull some obscure characters that people necessarily wouldn't know, or some well-known characters that necessarily wouldn't get into a movie.
Yeah.
But the MCU kind of shatters all that, so we could see any of these, you know.
Look at the character design right here. You can already imagine that they could do what they want with this and make it a, you know, even if it is like a supporting deal, they can make it one of those where the fans kind of always.
You know, I was thinking if you want to make her personality, I don't know how her personality is in the comics, but I imagine it would match her kind of, you know, the way she's drawn. If it's kind of like, you know, wacky and quirky and all over the place and very like fast-paced. That's how I always kind of wanted the Flash to be, even in the comics, was like kind of quirky, like his personality matches his speed, you know what I mean, kind of thing. I would want to see something like that with her. Like maybe she's got some extra speed or something like that from the athleticism. Like she could use that or so, I don't know, something like that, you know, like, I would like to see like a speedster type character. We lost Quicksilver too soon, man. That would have been so cool.
Yeah, for real. But she's also a really big singer. I don't think I mentioned that. She's a talented singer. It's kind of one of the funny things about her. So you already know they could bring in something kind of different with that.
That makes complicated casting because then you have to get someone that can sing too.
I'm sure they love to get someone who could. I mean, dude, it's Hollywood. All these people could sing now.
Oh, I know. I'm saying then you have to go for that too.
I'm sure they love to get a little musical act. Freaking Disney, man.
I mean, honestly, if there was like a break that it made sense, like like an origin story for the X-Men where they're like recruiting members and she's just one of the people out there. Because the thing is, like, not every mutant is like a teenager when they get to Xavier's Institute. Some people just mutated as adults and they had to go there anyway. Not everyone was a kid, not everyone was lucky enough to get trained like that. Some of them just got dropped into the mutant stuff. So like Wolverine, I think, was more or less an adult when he mutated. Or maybe not. I don't remember what. Honestly, the continuities are so screwed up at this point, Charlie. I don't know what happened in whose backstory at this point. Because I used to know a lot of it, but like they deleted a lot of it and they brought
a lot of it back, pretty much.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, right?
So well in like, gosh, I could see that as an X-Men character that could cross over with like the cosmic side with like Guardians or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that would be great.
Really would be. So yeah, guys, that'll do it for us. That's 10 X-Men we want to see. If there's anyone that you guys really want to see that stuck through this whole thing, let us know, man. But yeah, we will be back probably next week talking about Shazam. So
definitely. So yeah, definitely make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell so you know whenever we go live. Ding! And yeah, we'll see you all guys next time. Shazam! I mean Captain Marvel. I mean what?